My first book is called The Well Journal, and I have been having all of my clients food journal since the beginning of my practice. I mean, as a nutritionist, it's very hard for me to give someone advice if I don't know what they're eating. But beyond me needing to understand this to work with them, what I find is just the act of writing down what you're eating brings so much awareness. So when I was first starting my practice and having my clients journal, what I found is that the benefit was less for obviously there's benefit of me understanding what they eat and being able to give them advice, but the things that they learned about themselves from journaling and writing down what they were eating was really profound. And there are a lot of studies that back this up, that the simple act of writing down what you eat consistently leads to greater weight loss outcomes and greater health outcomes. There's a lot of evidence behind food journaling, but as I always say, you can't change what you're not aware of. And it's really easy to just mindlessly grab snacks and little things throughout the day. So writing it down just makes you think, okay, why am I putting this in my mouth? Am I hungry? If I'm hungry, why am I hungry? And sometimes when you're beginning a food journaling practice, you might feel disappointed because it's bringing to light and to paper some choices that you might not realize that you're making that are not aligned with your goals. But I would encourage you to think of this, anyone who's starting a food journaling practice, to really think of this as a positive, because now you have an opportunity. So in the Well Journal, what I wanted to do was really look at qualitative data versus quantitative data. I'm a believer in, thermodynamics. I understand that, sometimes there needs to be a calorie deficit to lose weight, and super into protein. And I think that there's value in the numbers, and we could talk about that later. But what I wanted people to do with the Well Journal is to understand, okay, I didn't sleep well last night and I've been craving sugar all day. Hey, maybe there's a connection there. Or, okay, around 4 o'clock every day, I'm in my car, on my way home from picking the kids up at school, and I'm starving. And then when I get home, I end up just eating all my kids' snacks. Why am I doing this? I need to have a snack with me in the car at this time. Just understanding those patterns can be really helpful in making productive changes. Or maybe as you're making changes, let's say you start to prioritize a high protein breakfast and you realize that your energy levels, your mood, your cravings, and your food choices throughout the day are all better when you just make this one choice. And seeing that on paper can really help you to prioritize the things that are gonna make you feel good. And when you're food journaling, you might see, or I guess in life, you might have these little one-off things like, oh, well, I had an event, or I was traveling, or that was a weird night because my kid was crying all night and then I didn't have time for this in the morning. But then as you're doing journals more consistently, you realize that these one-off things happen all the time. And so they might all be unique in some ways, but I think that the solutions can be, streamlined. So maybe it's you need to have a grab and go snack. Maybe you don't want to clean the blender in the morning, which is totally fair. I could not tell you how many people have said to me, I'm really embarrassed to admit this, but I don't want to make a smoothie because I just cannot clean the blender in the morning, which I get. I kind of don't want to clean the blender in the morning. So maybe we're going to pivot to a Greek yogurt. I like that. That's what I had this morning because I didn't want to clean the blender. So, that's totally fine. And sometimes these very practical logistics are really impacting our choices. And so instead of trying to fit your nutrition into your life or your life into nutrition, let's try to fit nutrition into your life in a way that makes sense, because there's tons of options. It's a beautiful thing about America is that we have a lot of options. There's a lot of different foods, huge country. There's a lot of innovation, a lot of things that are not so great, but there's also a lot of great things. So there's a lot of different options. And so, I always like to think that you're doing a little Sherlock Holmes detective work. Okay, why am I doing this? Oh, wow, I'm eating a lot of food late at night. I didn't realize that. What can I do to improve that? And I think that that's really, really empowering.